and welcome to this edition of Chuck's Culture Channel, your YouTube home for lively conversation on the lively arts in St. Louis and beyond. And this time around, I'm talking with Marc Gordon. He's the executive and artistic director of the Chamber Music Society of St. Louis. Now celebrating its 15th anniversary, CMSSL is back in their traditional home, the Pillsbury Theater at the 560 Music Center. It's an intimate venue that uses cabaret-style seating to bring a more intimate experience to the intimate art of chamber music. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not in full screen mode, you'll see a video description field below with links for more information. And now, a bit of video. Okay, well, there you have a little idea of what it's like to see a Chamber Music Society of St. Louis concert. And here with me, the executive and artistic director, as I said, Marc Gordon. Marc, thanks and welcome to Chuck's Culture Channel.
Thank you, Chuck. So glad to be here.
Yes. And as you can tell, I am virtually at your new home, the Pillsbury Center at the 560 Music Center. And that's kind of a big deal for your 2024 season, right?
It is, yes. After the 3 years plus of COVID, where a couple were obviously just virtual, and then we were in the concert hall with socially distanced seating for safety's sake. And starting in September, we came back to our sort of traditional or cabaret style. So our folks are sitting at 4 top tables, and STL Barkeep has a setup out in the foyer so folks can enjoy a soft drink or a glass of wine or a beer during the concert.
Nice.
We're pretty informal. And the room just looked beautiful with the small 30-inch tables and red tablecloths. So last Monday was our kind of holiday toast and celebration, and we were packed, and it was just a great time.
Yeah, and we should point out we're recording this on Friday, December 8th, and we're going to be talking about stuff happening in 2024. So those of you who are watching this, that's your time frame. If you're watching this anytime during 2024, you can check out the video description field down there if you're watching this on YouTube, and it will give you links to information on the concerts. So yeah, the cabaret setting is really nice. It is informal, and I think it gives it's a good match for chamber music, it seems to me, the same way it's a good match for cabaret.
That's so true, Chuck, because so much of the music that we play going back several hundred years was actually played in a party circumstance, either over dinner or hopefully our audience is paying more attention than maybe the original audience. But it is nice to have that small, intimate, and the feature where you can just be relaxed.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that today. The sort of concert manners which are largely a function of the late 19th century German composers, especially Mahler, are kind of they're a bit rigid for the kind of environment in which chamber music was mostly originally written, as you pointed out. And I think this helps, that you just said, bring us back closer to what it felt like originally when a lot of these works were written.
I think one of the strong um, things that is appealing about these concerts is the proximity. So people are close. So you're not sitting in a big hall with 2,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually see and feel the music, and you can see the exchanges of glances and looks between the musicians on stage. And so that energy is really exciting.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those concerts. Give us an idea about what you're really excited about in the 15th anniversary season for 2024.
Well, we are starting in late January when we come
Mm-hmm.
back. We have a kind of an unusual chamber music program. We have two jazz pianists that are going to be our featured soloists, and I believe this is their fourth appearance with us. And we kind of go with the theory that there are two kinds of music, good music and the other stuff. We're quoting Duke Ellington, of
Yes.
course. So what's interesting about these two, Stephanie Trick and Paolo Alderighi, are going to be the two guest artists. And we'll also have on that program six of our musicians playing a Martinu piece called La Revue de Cuisine. And it's kind of like a story about food. And it has a very jazzy feel to it, too. And to talk about the two jazz pianists, Stephanie is actually from St. Louis, and Paolo is from Milan, Italy. And they are actually in Europe right now. They travel all over the world, and their focus is on ragtime music
Oh.
and early jazz. And they are fabulous musicians. And Paolo tells a great story that he was trained in the conservatory in Milano, and he had to sneak out to play jazz gigs so his piano teacher wouldn't know. And obviously, that's where he's gravitated to. And they've pioneered these two, this piano four hands. So they will play on one piano. And not only are they great musicians, but they are very entertaining. They introduce kind of a shtick, and it's just so much fun to watch them. So that'll be a really exciting way to start 2024 for us.
Yeah, great. So that's in January. What else you got coming up?
Then the next program that we'll do is in February, where we try to acknowledge Black History Month. And so the program is titled Sounds of Diversity. And we look very carefully to find pieces by diverse composers, so Latino, African American, but to play pieces that are really strong, because it's really critical that we try to inspire our audiences as well as entertain them. And so all the pieces on that program, they'll be by composers, South American composers, Lucona and Florence
Oh,
Price, of course, William Grant Still, and Samuel Coleridge Taylor, who is
oh,
actually a British African American composer, and contemporary Jessie Montgomery, who's having her works played
oh yeah.
all over the place.
Yes. A lot of her work has been at the symphony recently.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. We'll
I've
play
liked
one
all of
of
it
her
too.
more, and we're going to play one of her more popular works too. So that'll be a very exciting and I think very entertaining concert as well.
What I think is interesting about that, I mean, you mentioned Ernesto Lecuona. There's a name that, I mean, piano students, former piano students like me probably know, because he wrote some uh, very fancy but very difficult works for solo piano. But I think most people don't know that name, so that'll be kind of interesting.
Right. And I think what will happen is when people hear the two works that we've chosen by him, they're going to say, I know that piece.
Yeah. So now the 2024 season runs through when?
We'll finish up May
Okay.
20th. That's our 23-24 season. And
Okay.
we take a break over the course of the summer, and then we'll start up again in September.
Okay.
One of the other programs that I think is significant is we have a program that's titled Women of Notes. And this is one that was suggested several years ago by one of our board members, which is to play a program of women composers. And so that's what this program will be. And names that some might be familiar. Again, Florence Price, Amy Beach,
Right.
who was an American
Oh, yeah.
composer,
Right.
Jennifer Higdon, contemporary,
Yes.
and our own Cindy McTee, who is also Mrs. Leonard Slatkin.
Right. Right.
So there's a Fanny Mendelssohn. So again, all these pieces were carefully searched out and chosen so that they will be pieces that the audience will really enjoy hearing.
Yeah, there are so many great women composers out there, and though many of them are contemporary, because that's when they're really getting a chance to get above the general noise level. Fanny Mendelssohn's a great example, and she was so frustrated in her ambitions to get her music heard during her lifetime.
Yeah, true. And obviously times have changed. So the
Yeah.
women composers have it a lot easier to get heard these days.
Yeah. So a really richly varied program coming up. And of course, I sort of misspoke. I said the 2024 season, but as you just pointed out, really, the Chamber Music Society of St. Louis has kind of the standard season that starts in the fall and ends the following summer. So,
Right. We always get confused though. Do we run on a fiscal year or a calendar year or a season year? So
yeah.
we actually use all three.
Yeah. So I guess the main point is no matter when you are watching this out there in YouTube land, check out the video description links for information on the Chamber Music Society of St. Louis. And there's probably going to be something coming up that you'll want to check out. Uh, Marc, thanks so much for taking some time to talk to me and talk about the season. It sounds really exciting. And the new space looks really cool. It'll look even cooler when it has all those 4 top tables in it and bar service. So
Absolutely. And the big thing we want people to know is that, yes, this is all about the music, and you're going to hear absolutely phenomenal performances by our musicians, but it's about having fun. So it's a
yeah.
social event as well. So we'll look forward and hope to see so many of you to come and hear us.
Yeah, check it out. And please, as you're watching this, tell your friends about Chuck's Culture Channel out here on YouTube, your lively place for lively conversation on the lively arts. And what can I say? Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and see you next time. Bye.